Okay, Frank, this is a 1946 Aeronca champ. There were over 10,000 built between 1945 and 1950. This airplane is very popular even today. One reason it's lightweight, cruises at 85 miles an hour, has a 4-cylinder, 65 horsepower Continental engine, burns 4 gallons an hour. That's and this airplane, I've owned it 3 times. This airplane was brought to this airport in a basket in 1970. Dr. Wood bought this airplane. So the process of rebuilding this airplane took about, I think 3 or 4 years.
What's the horsepower?
65.
65. Has it got a Lycoming or a Continental?
I said the history of this airplane that I own is really quite interesting when you think about that. One of our local doctors, Dr. Wood, bought the airplane as a basket case. We went up to Cincinnati back in February of 1970 to pick it up. And I mean, there was no fabric on it. Woodwork was shot. It was just in pieces.
You're talking about your airplane,
my
right?
airplane.
Back the one we just saw.
Yeah, the one we just looked at. And he bought it for the purpose of having it rebuilt and restored so his teenage boys could be taught to fly. But as what happens to so many teenage boys, they're more interested in girls than they were airplanes. So he sold the airplane to a fellow by the name of Henry Haig, which lived in Michigan at the time. And Henry owned the airplane and flew it for 5 or 6 years, brought it back down here and offered it to me. I said, I'm not interested in it. So he sold it to a local gentleman down at Clinton, Jim Rollo. And Mr. Rollo owned that airplane for probably 10 or 15 years, flew it daily. And he put it up for sale, and another local fellow here, Lynn Prater, you know Lynn, he bought it for a year, then sold it to a fellow by the name of Harold Haskett. I told Harold to fly. He kept the airplane for 3 years. I bought it back from Harold, sold it back to Henry, and then Henry sold it back to me. So that was the history of that airplane. All in a time span of 70 through, I'm on the airplane now for 10 years. Again, since 2001. This airplane is a local airplane that was owned by a local barnstormer, Ed Robinson. And Ed had completely rebuilt this airplane from a basket case. And then many years passed, and Ed passed away, and the family sold the airplane to a local guy here by the name of Jimmy Cole. And Jimmy completely rebuilt the airplane, put it back to its original way, because there used to be a window behind where this rear window is here now. And it was a pristine job. The airplane's been sitting here for probably a good 10 years or so, and it would probably take more money to redo this airplane than what it would be worth. But this is one of the 10,000 airplanes that the champs were built.
What year was that one built? This one, Bert?
I'd have to look at the serial number and run it, but most of the airplanes, there were over 10,000 built between 45 and 1948. So
well, now what's how much older is your airplane or this airplane than yours? You know,
I don't know. I'd have to look at the serial number.
Okay.
But basically the airplanes are the same. I mean, it's the same basic airplane. Many of these airplanes still being flown today. One reason for that, they are considered a light sport aircraft, LSA, and you don't have to have a flight physical to be able to fly one, because it falls under a certain weight and certain amount of speed and so forth. But it's a shame. As you can see, the airplane's pretty well a derelict now. As you can see, the propeller is missing, and also if you look inside here, there's no cylinders, no jugs as we call them, and it's a shame because, you know, and deteriorate. And of course, the hardest thing on these airplanes, since they're fabric covered, you can hear that's fabric, is that the sun really and the UV really eats away. You can see where the birds have been in here and crapped on it and so forth. And you might, an interesting thing here, you see the little thing here, Goofy. Well, Ed Robinson was an artist for Walt Disney back during the wartime. And he drew Goofy and a lot of the cartoons of Pluto and all so forth and so on. And so Jimmy evidently found that, because I believe he called this airplane the Goof.
Now, how long have you managed this airport, Bert?
Well, actually...
And we're going out on the runway now in his vehicle.
Yeah, make sure you look down your way there, Frank.
Yeah.
You don't see any traffic.
No, I don't see anything coming,
Okay.
Bert.
I actually was approached by one of the county commissioners in 1966 to fill in temporarily until they found an airport manager. Well, I've been here ever since. I was actually too young to get a contract at the time, so I had to wait till I turned 21 to get a contract. So now I am still the airport operator and the airport manager and the fixed base operator. But as you can tell, we got a beautiful airport here. The runway was just extended back in 2005 to an additional 500 feet of runway, but when we did that, we also extended the runoffs on each end by 300 feet. As you can see, we have a very nice runway and a good view of the mountains. Now we're looking up the other end, runway 5, looking northeast. And again, more mountains. Another interesting thing I want to tell you, it just reminded me when I was looking at this airplane in the weeds. There was a fellow by the name of Ralph Claiborne.
Right.
Great guy. Had one of these in 19...
He lived up the valley.
Well, it's up the valley.
Yeah.
In 1962 or 3, the airplane, the fabric had deteriorated. It didn't have this seconite on it. It had a cotton or a linen, and it did not pass the inspection for punch tests for the fabric. So he parked the airplane in a hangar that he built up on his farm. That airplane is still sitting in that little thing, but it's the same way. It has deteriorated, and at that time, probably could have spent $700 or $800 on it and had it totally recovered. This airplane, brand new, when it came out on the market, was $2,200. And now, one of these in decent shape will bring 20, and one in pristine shape will probably bring $35,000.
How long you been flying, Bert?
I soloed August 11th, 1962.
What type of aircraft do you fly?
Aeronca Champ.
And
That's
what
what
you
I learned to
soloed.
fly it.
Yeah, but you were flying what, a French Falcon?
Oh, when I retired, yeah, a Falcon jet.
Falcon
20.
Falcon 20.
Lot of difference. This is stick and rudder, and of
Right.
course the jet is more as you're a monitor,
Right.
a going fast monitor. Yeah,
Well, thank you very much, Bert.
You're welcome.
Bert and I have been friends for,
long time.
yeah, I've known you ever since you were a little guy.
I've known him since his kids were that tall, and now they're this tall.